Welcome to my reading corner. I have finished my third book of the year, which is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. And Legendary is the sequel to her book Caraval. This is a story about two sisters, Scarlet and Donatella. And in the first one, we learn that Scarlet and Donatella, they live on this island with their cruel, controlling father. And all their lives, since they have been little girls, they have always wanted to attend what is known as Caraval, which is essentially a carnival circus, traveling circus, game type thing. So one day, Donatella talks when she realized that Scarlet is about to marry someone their father picked, who they know nothing about. She decides to try to write to Caraval one last time, and here's a response from the ringmaster. Let's call him the ringmaster of Caraval Legend, and he finally responds to them. So, with the help of a mysterious handsome man, Julian, who has been to Caraval, she kidnaps Scarlet, and they travel to where Caraval is located. But then, when they get there, Donatella gets kidnapped. And Scarlet finds out when she gets with Julian's help, she finds out that she must play the Caraval game to rescue her sister. And that is essentially what the first one is about, and it's all about the whole idea of playing this game and how Caraval, you don't know what's real and what isn't, and it's all about life and death, and them playing, and Scarlet playing this game. And there's also the subplot of her, while Julian is helping her, she's starting to fall for him, but because she's a very overly cautious person, and she doesn't want to be distracted by Julian because her goal is to save her sister. There's a bit of a tug of war between the two of them, which is one of my favorite kind of romance stories. When I do read, when there is romance anyway. So, this, like I said, this is the sequel, and in the sequel, it's Donatella who has to play the game this time. And her and Scarlet have decided to travel with the Caraval circus. Travel with Caraval to the city of Valenda, where they are gonna have their next set of games for the Empress. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, Eltine or Eltine. I'm not sure how to say her name. But Tella has been receiving messages from a mysterious friend who has offered to help her by bringing her to her mother, who has been missing since they were little girls. But in return, Tella has to obtain Legend's true name, because no one knows who Legend really is, except for probably the players, the cast members of Caraval. But of course, they can't say who Legend is. No one can they have no way of telling the players who Legend is. But if Tella wins this game, the game this time, the prize will be she will come face to face with Legend. But unfortunately, with this one, the stakes are even higher, because not only does Tella have to play the game and have to get Legend's name, first of all, there's a time limit, and the game is actually starting to seem more real than Tella should believe. And she, like Scarlet, is distracted by a cute guy that works for Legend, devastatingly handsome Dante. And he keeps offering to help her, even though she keeps pushing him away, because, she's not as cautious as Scarlet is, but she is very, she doesn't trust people. She has trust issues. She's just more of a risk taker and a bit of a flirt. but she's also not she doesn't believe in love, she doesn't trust people. She has her guard up as much as Scarlet does, except for her approach is not as, she doesn't, like, Scarlet would be the type of person who would stay inside, where it was safe, while Donatella will go out and go on the adventures, even if it's dangerous. But but at the same time, though, she is still wary of the risk, and she won't just rely on anybody. She is determined to save herself. But on top of that, part of the winning the game has to do with the storyline behind the game this time is that the Fates are trying to break free, and Legend is the only one who can stop them. But the Fates want Legend's power, because in the story, he stole their power, and that's why he is able to create Caraval. Unfortunately, like I said, the game's starting to seem a little too real, and Tella has begun to realize that the Fates really are trying to break free, and that one of the Fates has come very close to breaking free, and that is the Prince of Hearts. And he has set his sights on Tella, and has offered her a deal. This, like I said, with this book, the stakes are so much higher in this one. And literally is life or death involved in this one. Like, Tella can actually, in the first one she could have died, but it turns out it's kind of all part of the game. But in this one, it's actually real, and she could actually die. But there's the whole fact that in Caraval, they always warn you, they always remind you, it's just a game. And, of course, Scarlet is trying to tell Tella, don't fall for it. But Tella's starting to believe that maybe she's not as crazy as it's not that crazy, and that maybe it is a lot realer than they originally believed. I really enjoyed this book. Of course, I enjoy a lot of books that I read. As I've said before, I'm pretty easy. And unless it's just a genre I have no interest in, like, as I've said millions of times, I'm not a romance, I don't read romance, I just like romance in my stories. Which, that's the only thing about this. It is heavy on the romance. And I am starting to worry with what it kind of hinted at the end of the book, is that there is going to be a bit of what I like to call a bit of a love diamond. Where it's like, you have the two sisters on each corner, and then on the two top corners, and then on the bottom corners are the four male characters involved in the story. And then this one, not like I said, we are introduced to the Prince of Hearts, and I feel like he is definitely more of the villain in this sequel. And I don't, which. He's creepy, he's very sadistic, and I feel like there's no humanity in him whatsoever. Unfortunately, though, like I said, I'm kind of concerned that it's going to go in the direction of, oh, actually, no, he really is human, and he just doesn't want to show it. He's really good at covering it up. And sometimes I like that, and other times I'm like, okay, enough of that. I want to see a villain that's not just, oh, he's a brooding male and he just pretends that he's evil and he doesn't care when deep down he does. I just want at least one male character in the story that isn't like just some broody male that ends up, that the Dragna sisters, that their love for him has what makes him, like, the goodness in him come out. I do believe if there really is that kind of evil in this world, not just the regular garden variety of people are evil, that sometimes humans can do horrible things to each other. But if there were really, like, evil, like in fantasy, then I guess I can understand where, like, oh, love and a hug from someone, could really thaw out a heart and make someone become good again and everything. And maybe that does, but can kind of understand, but at the same time, sometimes it is a little too much. I just have such mixed feelings about it. Sometimes I go back and forth with stuff like that all the time. I did like I said, I'm not one of those people that has a problem with Scarlet. I know a lot of people don't like Scarlet because she's so cautious and careful, and she's like telling Tella what not to do, and she seems kind of like, but I feel like I can kind of relate to Scarlet a little bit more than I can relate to Tella, but I did really enjoy Tella's character in this book. But I do, as I said before, I feel like they both have trust issues. Just their approaches to their distress is very different. Like I said, Tella she'll go, even though she doesn't trust that these people will help her, she will still go running into the danger and still will do the brave, heroic thing, while Scarlet is like, let's just stay in our rooms where it's safe and not get involved. Although, I think I noticed by the end of this book, we do get, even though Scarlet is not in this book that much, like in the first book, Donatella wasn't in the book that much because it was from Scarlet's point of view, and Tella was missing, was MIA, so Scarlet had to go save her, so it was more about her, it was more about Scarlet and her perspective of the story. In this one, it was Tella's perspective. So, like in the first one, the sister that the story is not about is not as in the story. She's like, you see her only ever so often throughout the story. I do feel like sometimes, and I wonder if I'm just, sometimes I question myself and I'm wondering, am I really seeing this? But sometimes I feel like, and I feel like this with other young adult books, sometimes I feel like there is a lot of telling more than showing in this book. But with that being said, Stephanie Garber's descriptions are so intricate and beautiful when she describes the setting and sometimes when characters are eating and having like some kind of meal or something, and the clothes, you just really get lost in this world of Caraval. With all the details and describing the dresses like that. Both Scarlet and Donatella are put in dresses quite a lot in the story. And the costumes that the other characters wear, and it's very detailed and very descriptive. You can actually picture what's going on. Now I'm sure that people have compared, when Caraval first came out, people did compare it to the Night Circus, which, by the way, I personally don't think that's a good idea. I mean, I know it's a marketing tool to get people to buy the book because they're like, oh, if you love the Night Circus, you'll love Caraval. And maybe it's a good idea that they do that, because maybe if they didn't compare it to the Night Circus, people wouldn't go out and buy it, because the Night Circus was very popular. But I feel like that puts a lot of pressure on books. And then fans end up getting disappointed because it's not like their favorite book from before. And they're completely different stories. They're not the same story. The only thing that's similar to Caraval, and the only thing that Caraval and the Night Circus have in common, is it kind of has a circus-type story. While that's the only common ground that they have. Just like how Nevermore, the Nevermore series, or whatever it's going to be called, or the Morgan Crow series, I don't know what it's going to be called. The only thing that has in common with Harry Potter is it sort of has a similar feel to Harry Potter with the magic and this other world and this character that kind of experiences abuse being thrown into this magical, whimsical world and realizing that they are part of it. But other than that, they're completely different stories. And it's all But yeah, so it kind of bothers me when people compare books like that, but I guess it's a marketing thing. It's a way to get people to buy the book. If you say it's similar to if you say it's similar to this popular book, then people would be like, oh, I should buy that. It will remind me of the other one. but then ends up, like I said, then it ends up backfiring because people just end up realizing it's nothing like this book. But I guess the people who sell these books don't really care in the end, as long as they get the money. Then it doesn't matter, even if it turns out people are just plain disappointed. And unfortunately, with these kind of businesses, whether it's the business of selling books or selling toys or selling, an industry like Disney or something, it doesn't, at the end of the day, it's still a business and they don't care, they're just like, they want to get the money. But anyway, let's see. So, I'm trying to think of what else can I say about this book. Because I don't want to, unless you've read Caraval, I can't really say much. Isn't this cover? I love these cover. I love the Caraval covers. Like the writing of the title. There's a word for that. Not handwriting, but I don't know what it is. I like that it's raised and the way it's written and stuff in gold and I can't think of the word. I can't think of the word. And I love the image. And the third one, I actually finally decided to get around to this book because I do believe that this year, the third book is the third and final book, because it's a trilogy, is coming out this year at some point. I don't know when. Called Finale. And I don't know I guess it's gonna be from this perspective of both girls. Either that or it's gonna surprise us and it's gonna be from neither one of their perspectives. Or maybe it's gonna be not just a perspective not just from those two, but maybe we'll get the guy's perspective too. The two major male characters. And like I said, I think there's gonna be a bit of a love triangle, love diamond kind of thing going on, and I'm really nervous because I don't want the Count guy to be a major player on the story, or at least make him into a really asshole character. Which is funny because that's one of my complaints about Sarah J. Maas, is that one of my criticisms is I don't like how it makes it easy for us if once the main girl, her main protagonist, goes to the other guy, it makes it easy to hate the guy before. And that bugs me. But in this case, I don't want the guy to be easy to hate. The Count. Because he's coming back in this book. In the finale, I think. Like they hinted at the end of this book. And it's like, no! Because, I'm starting to not like love triangles. I'm starting to hate love triangles more and more. Like I said, I still say that I'm a little more tolerant of them, but I don't know, maybe I'm starting to notice them more, just like I'm starting to notice that a lot of young adult authors will say, a breath I didn't know I was holding. And I'm starting to notice that more. It's like, really? Like people said, other people have said, how do you know you're not holding your breath? I feel it when I'm holding my breath. I understand the whole kind of thing, but, gasping or something. But, again, why? That's also kind of weird, that why would you be holding your breath? I guess when you're anticipating someone's gonna catch you or see you or something and you're hiding, I guess, yeah, you're kind of holding your breath. But I can feel it. I can feel it in my stomach. And I don't, the feeling, eventually I want to let it go, but I know I'm doing it. So, like other people have said, you are aware that you're doing it when you're holding your breath. It's kind of a stupid little line. It's which is now become cliche. It's how could you not know? How do these characters not know that? It's silly. But anyway, okay, let me get back to this review. I don't know what else to say. But yeah, I enjoyed it. Trying to think, do I have any criticisms? Well, like I said, the only thing is sometimes it did feel like the author was telling rather than showing at times. But maybe I'm just imagining. I don't know. Sometimes I question myself, but I'm like, it feels like this is more tell than show. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, I really enjoyed the sequel. I cannot wait for finale, the final book in the trilogy, and find out what happens with these characters in the relationships that they're in. You know, the developing ones. So those are my thoughts on the sequel to Caraval Legendary. If you are one of the people, if you've read it, which I'm assuming since you're watching this review, you have. How did you feel about this book? Did you like it, or did you hate it, or did you just think it was okay? Feel free to share in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe if you are watching this video and you liked it and haven't subscribed already. Click the bell icon below if you want to see more and get notifications for more of my videos. And as always, I hope you all are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!